How do you plead, Mr. Cobberger, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes.
Bryan Kohberger admitting to the brutal stabbing deaths of 4 University of Idaho students in North Idaho. Now, nearly 3 years later, the murderer accepting a plea deal and admitting guilt to avoid a possible death sentence just weeks before his trial was set to start. Is it justice? Tonight, mixed emotions from the victims' families.
Idaho News 6 starts with breaking news.
Thanks for joining Idaho News 6. I'm executive reporter Karen Lair. Team coverage tonight from neighborhood reporters in Ada and Latah counties. It's a story that's gripped the nation and one we followed for you from the very beginning. After years of hearings, delays, and relocations, it comes to an abrupt and unexpected end. Bryan Kohberger pleading guilty to 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of burglary in the gruesome stabbing deaths of 4 University of Idaho students. Our neighborhood reporter Riley Shoemaker spent the morning in the courtroom and joins us with the details.
Hi, Karen. Yeah, I am at the Ada County Courthouse where I have been since 5 a.m. And that's when I joined members of the public and the press, where we gathered for what would become a major moment in this case. I was inside that courtroom today as Bryan Kohberger pled guilty to murdering 4 University of Idaho students in 2022. And although it was only 1 word, we did actually hear him speak. In a packed courtroom, victims' families sat tightly on the right side as Bryan Kohberger entered in khakis, a fresh haircut, and a button-down shirt. Kohberger's parents were also present, seated quietly behind the defense table. The hearing began with stern words from Judge Stephen Hippler, who addressed growing public pressure on the court.
This court will never take into account public sentiment in making an opinion. Courts should, and I always will, make decisions based on where the facts and the law lead me. Period.
He emphasized the plea agreement came together quickly, saying even he didn't know about it until Monday afternoon when most of the public found out. After opening remarks, the court moved to the business of the day. Kohberger pleaded guilty to all 5 counts, 4 murders and 1 burglary, waiving his right to appeal and agreeing to 4 consecutive life sentences without parole. He spoke softly but clearly as the judge asked.
Are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes.
As the judge read the names of each victim, Kohberger pled guilty to each charge.
Did you, on November 13th, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, kill and murder Madison Mogan, a human being?
Yes.
Did you, on or about that same date in Moscow, Idaho, kill and murder Kaylee Gonzalez, a human being?
Yes.
And did you, on that same date in Moscow, Idaho, kill and murder Xana Kernodle, a human being?
Yes.
And then on or about November 13th, 2022, again in Latah County, Idaho, did you kill and murder Ethan Chapin, a human being?
Yes.
The state detailed months of cell phone and surveillance data, the recovered knife sheath, and what prosecutors say was a meticulously planned crime by a man who studied how to cover his tracks. So now that highly anticipated and high-profile trial has been officially vacated. M. Kohberger will face sentencing on July 23rd. That's when the victims' families will have the chance to speak directly to the court in their victim impact statements. But what happens now legally? Well, I spoke with former Idaho Attorney General David Leroy about the next steps in the process and how sentencing works in a case like this.
The only possible moment that this guilty plea could have come about was exactly now.
That's how former Idaho Attorney General David Leroy described Tuesday's pivotal court hearing, calling it a legal and emotional turning point, just in the nick of time before tens of thousands of juror questionnaires were distributed.
This was a very well-run hearing by Judge Hippler, where he was absolutely careful and precise, very careful that the defendant understood his rights and that Mr. Cobberger understood all of the rights that he was waiving. And then the judge went very carefully through each of the crimes, each of the elements of each of the crimes, and had Mr. Cobberger agree that he committed each and every specific element.
Leroy says Cobberger's verbal admissions left no room for doubt. Cobberger waived his right to appeal, and with both sides skipping a pre-sentence investigation, Leroy says it underscores how unusual and tightly structured this plea deal was.
The only possibility for a plea on the dreadful facts of this case was that the defendant would plead to all counts, agree to all maximum sentences, and agree to waive all appellate rights.
So, Don, I was inside that courtroom today where the families of the victims were packed in, and it was very emotional. There were a lot of tears, but you were outside as they entered. What did it look like out here?
Well, it was pretty clear what was happening inside the Ada County Courthouse where you were, with one look at what was happening out here, outside. Dozens of media outlets from around the country came to Boise for a plea agreement hearing for murder suspect Bryan Kohberger. Since the early morning hours, media crews were setting up camp waiting to hear from the family members of the 4 University of Idaho students who were stabbed to death in their off-campus house in 2022.
Is this justice?
No.
No.
Kaylee Gonzalez's family arrived, but Kaylee's father, Steve, did not go in. He decided not to go as a protest to the plea agreement. I caught up with Steve as he was walking away from the courthouse.
How's the family holding up? We're all disappointed. We're very disappointed. We worked too long, too hard for half-ass efforts.
Is that directed towards Judge Hippler?
Hippler hasn't done anything. He inherited this. Hopefully he can fix it. I'm not blaming nothing on Hippler. I'm putting this all on Thompson and Latal County. You know, they've tore that house down. They've done everything to hide this. Why did this get done over the weekends? As soon as the investigation starts, they're cowards. They're running from it.
When the hearing was over, Steve came back to meet his family, and I asked him if he changed his mind at all. Steve, did your opinion of the Latah County prosecutor change after hearing him lay out the case that he would have presented?
No. Just furthermore, he had the strongest case, and it was a case given to him by the FBI agents, and he just let it slip through his fingers.
Was there anything he said that surprised you?
No, not really.
Attorney Leander James, representing family members of victim Madison Mogan, says the Mogan family is pleased with today's proceedings and agreed the plea deal was the best option to move forward.
We support the plea agreement 100%. While we know there are some who do not support it, we ask that they respect our belief that this is the best outcome possible for the victims, their families, and the state of Idaho. We now embark on a new path. We turn from tragedy and mourning. We turn from darkness and uncertainty of the legal process to the light of the future. We have closure. While some victims' families have been outspoken from the start, we've heard very little from Bryan Kohberger's family leading up to this change of plea. They did issue a statement through their lawyer Tuesday night asking the media for privacy, respect, and responsible judgment during this time, and said they will allow the legal process to continue unfolding with respect to all parties and will not release any further comment. Live from the Ada County Courthouse in downtown Boise, I'm senior reporter Don Nelson, Idaho News 6.
The small community of Moscow experienced the terror of Cobberger's crimes. Those uncertain weeks after the shocking murders left students and other residents on edge. Senior reporter Roland Barris spent the day in Moscow, where some residents are still working to heal and move on.
For better or for worse, the Cobberger case is now history. I'm senior reporter Roland Barris, and I'm here in Moscow, Idaho, on the University of Idaho campus. And we are here at the Vandal Healing Garden and Memorial. This is put together to honor all students who have died at the university, including, of course, those 4 who were murdered in this particular case. And I want to just show you around here really quickly, because it shows you how much this has been used. Obviously, it came about in the past year because of the murders of Ethan Chapin, Kaylee Consalvis, Maddie Mae Mogan, and Xana Kernodle. You can see down below there is a candle and some flowers, and they are changed out from time to time by staff here. And then over here, you can see what is available to help people deal with all that has happened in this case as they try and get their head around it all. And beautiful little nooks here where you can sit and reflect. You can write notes that people have left there. You can light these artificial candles and leave rocks. A lot of times it is very common for people to leave rocks in remembrance of a loved one. And so it's a great place for people to come and heal. And although it is summertime right now, there aren't students here. Surely there will be plenty of use of this site now that this whole case has come to a close. Reporting from Moscow, I'm senior reporter Roland Barris, Idaho News 6.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Scott Rovell, still tracking some showers and thunderstorms popping up across southern and central Idaho. Some moisture coming in from the south. It's also hot out there. How does all this change into the 4th of July? Because there's a big temperature change coming. I've got that in my extended forecast.
Scott Dorval with your Idaho News 6 forecast.
Good evening, everyone. As we take a look at what's happening right now, we've got some pretty interesting weather pushing into downtown Boise, some very gusty wind. Now, this shows wind at 0 at the airport. I just checked a moment ago, so it's not updated here. 22 miles an hour. They're going to be likely gusting 35 to maybe 40 as a gust front comes through. We can see the haze in the air. That's mostly dust. It's not really rain. It's lower visibility as wind is coming down out of this storm system and shooting ahead of it. It was a lot of lightning with this storm, and it was to the south in southern Ada County. The lightning has pretty much faded away, but the wind, again, the storm collapses. That cool air hits the ground and rushes out ahead of it. The temperature is going to drop dramatically as that gust front comes through downtown Boise in the next few minutes. Expect gusts at least 35 to 40. We've had a gust of 51 around Blacks Creek. So under the core of this wind coming out of this system right here, we're getting some pretty strong wind there, gust of 50. This is the Meridian area. Again, it's just seeing some breezes here. I'm looking at the flag off in the distance at Kleiner Park. It's just a breeze blowing away. Again, we could gust to 35 this evening, but later tonight, another gust front could come through with gusts to maybe 40 or 45 miles per hour, maybe even a little bit higher coming in from the west, more towards 8 o'clock. In the meantime, we've gotten to 98 in Boise, 100 in most locations, but that breeze will cool things down this evening. Then it will settle down. There was a storm system. It was dramatic down here with all that lightning and just fading away, but still the wind is now pushing to the north. There's still a chance for isolated storms, but again, that gust front will continue to track to the north into these locations right here, Star, by say 6:36. So what about the forecast for tomorrow? Watch the time lapse here of the futurecast. You're going to see a chance for some showers in the evening. That's 8 o'clock. But prior to that, sunshine. Temperatures in the mid-90s, a little less hot than today, but the sun will come back out after early morning clouds. Watch out for a chance for about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Strong thunderstorms on the 4th of July, and then getting really nice for Saturday and Sunday and hot next week.
Coming up, amidst all the grisly details of the investigation, the ever-present cameras, and all the courtroom drama, we can't forget the people most affected by Cobberger's crimes, the victims and their families. After the break, a closer look at the young people whose lives were senselessly ripped away too soon.
Report is brought to you by Boise Valley Asthma and Allergy Clinic.
All right, here is that allergy report. The pollen count has gone up. It was very low yesterday, down around 12, back up to 38, which is just into the lower part of the moderate category. Pine is there, some grass pollen. There's also some other pollen mixed in as well. So we're at 38 right now. We'll have to see how much weed pollen may come in. So this could rise as we head towards the weekend, especially with some gusty wind around.
The shocking nature of the U of I stabbings put a heavy focus on finding justice for the perpetrator, Bryan Kohberger. But in the end, he's just another criminal. The sooner forgotten, the better. Tonight, we end our newscast by honoring those worth remembering, the victims. Beyond the headlines and crime scene photos, they were people with passions and big dreams for the future. Here's how we hope to remember those 4 Idaho students gone too soon. 4 University of Idaho students whose dreams were cut short.
The victims, all friends and part of the University of Idaho's Greek system. Madison Mogan. Friends call her Maddie. The 21-year-old senior was a marketing major with a bright future ahead of her. She ran social media for a local restaurant and was known for her warm smile and kind heart. Friends say Madison loved country music and spending time with her family and boyfriend. Her father described her as the best person you could ever meet. Kaylee Gonsalves, Madison's best friend since 6th grade. The 21-year-old senior had just accepted a job in Austin, Texas, and was planning a post-graduation trip to Europe. She was a general studies major with plans to pursue a career in law. Kaylee's family remembers her adventurous spirit and how she loved spending time with her dog, Murphy. Her sister said Kaylee was the one who glued us all together. Xana Kernodle was a 20-year-old junior studying marketing. Friends describe her as a positive, funny person and someone who could lift spirits in any room she entered. Xana worked at a Greek restaurant near campus and was known for her strong work ethic. Her father said she was tough as nails and fought for her life until the very end. She had recently celebrated her birthday with her boyfriend, Ethan Chapin. Ethan was a 20-year-old freshman studying recreation, sport, and tourism management. He was a triplet, with his brother and sister also attending the University of Idaho. Friends remember Ethan for his infectious smile and love of sports, especially basketball. His mother described him as our comedian, who always made everyone laugh. The Chapin family has since created Ethan's Smile, a foundation dedicated to helping students participate in sports and recreation. These 4 young people were more than victims of a terrible crime. They were sons and daughters, friends and classmates, each with dreams and plans for the future. Their lives continue to be celebrated by those who knew and loved them. The University of Idaho has established memorial scholarships in each of their names. Their legacies live on through the memories shared by family, friends, and a community that will never forget them.
Well, this is a story that spans several years and one we've been following very closely for you. We'll continue to bring you the latest details as formal sentencing happens later this month. As a reminder, you can always find our complete coverage and the very latest on all of our neighborhood news stories on our website right now. Just head on over to idahonews6.com.
Now we'll look outside from the Treasure Valley Chevy Dealers Tower Cam.
Hello again, everyone. We've got a lightning threat in Canyon County at this hour down towards the Nampa area, towards Caldwell. We'll watch for that storm system. Gusty winds pushing through Boise to 35. Powerful storms pushing up towards the Riggins area tonight. So watch out for erratic gusty wind and the potential for wind gusts to 40 or 50 around 9 o'clock tonight. Now, Isaiah Sharp's going to be along tonight at 10 o'clock for a complete weather update. He's going to talk about this extended forecast. 95 tomorrow and a good chance for thunderstorms on Friday afternoon. That's the 4th of July. Then much nicer weather on Saturday and Sunday. We'll see you tonight at 10.